Second. Mic check 1 2, and it looks like we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wavell Star Show. I'm your host, the First Nation sensation Wavell Star, coming to you Facebook Live. And today I have a very special guest who I have known since the OVW days in Louisville, Kentucky. You may know him as former WWE superstar Caylen Croft. He has since become a professional coach, and he is here today to tell us about his journey. Please welcome Kris Pavone. Cage, how you doing, man?
Hey, Wavell, so good to see you, man. And I finally, I got my sound working on my end now. I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, the whole thing with these podcast gimmicks is that there's a whole bunch of prep that goes into it. It's not like you can just show up right before your match and walk out, right? Like,
Right. Yeah.
So everybody knows that, of course, you did have spent some time in the WWE, but since then you've transitioned to becoming a professional coach. So what exactly is a professional coach, and how did you get started?
Yeah. It's a great question. I was thinking about this before. So in a way, in my world anyway, and you and I have spoke about this, how pro wrestling, as unique as it is, prepares you for lots of other things. And coaching reminds me a lot of wrestling. There's a lot of similarities, believe it or not, but just that in itself, it's like, it kind of reminds me of when I wanted to be a pro wrestler. So you want to be a professional coach. What the heck? What does that mean? How do you do that? How do you do that for a living? Just, just like wrestling.
Yeah.
And of course, just like wrestling. So coaching, it's when I first heard the term life coach, I think the first time I heard it was in that Will Smith movie with Hitch called Hitch, which
Yes.
me and Mickey James saw in the theater, by the way. And
Nice.
Yeah.
Mick James.
Mick James, yeah. I think it was just her and I can't remember if it might have been Masters with us too.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm thinking like life coach. What the heck is that? And so over the last several years, it's become more of a popular thing. And I had a podcast, the Kris Pavone Show, and I was a teacher, which I did after my wrestling career. And I had this desire in me to want to like build my own business. I didn't know what it was exactly. And I kind of fell into coaching. Once I saw what it was, I thought, hey, this is really cool, man. I'd like to get more into this. And, again, I used to think a life coach, what is that? Is that what kind of a loser was that? Somebody like tells you what to do and you can't live life on your own. And when I stopped and looked at it, I thought, man, the most successful people, I know the successes I've had. It's because I've had someone, a mentor, a sponsor, a coach, someone there to always kind of, or to help me give guidance, provide guidance and direction. And it's the same thing with life coaching or business coaching, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's all kind of the same. I feel. And you if you have a coach, you somebody that needs a coach, usually there's something that they're stuck on. They want to get to something or a certain level or achieve something that they just need some help doing. And the cool thing about coaching is, I used to think as a coach, I got to know everything and tell the person what to do. And it's actually the opposite. Everybody has in them already what they need to accomplish whatever it is they need to do. And like a good coach kind of just help you get unblocked and not really learn anything new, but like unlearn some things that,
Right.
which is pretty cool. It's not what it's not what we don't know. It's the things that we think are true that just aren't, that keep people blocked up.
Right. No, I think that's so important that you talk about those things that trip us up and those barriers. And oftentimes those barriers are put there by ourselves, right? So I did notice on your website that you speak about things such as self-doubt, procrastination, fear of unknown, fear of the failure, being barriers. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. The first thing I'll say, I guess, is everybody has those. I think I know I certainly have, and I've been able to overcome a lot of stuff. That's how I can kind of see it in other people. 'Cause everybody has those experiences, and man, if someone has a desire in them, it's there for a reason, is my belief. And so it's funny, man. Just try it out sometimes. Just ask people like, hey, what do you really want to do? Or is there anything that you wish you could do in life, but you aren't doing it? And a lot of times people have an answer, and it's like, oh yeah, I always wanted to be a nurse, but I could never do that.
Right.
Or yeah, I wanted to be a lawyer, but it's too late for me now. I can never be a lawyer. I'm just not that smart. Or I'm an introvert. I couldn't be a good salesman. Like, says who?
Right.
Like,
Right.
who?
Is that a
Yeah.
procrastination thing, or do you think that that's more of a self-doubt thing?
Yeah, that would be a self-doubt thing. And I think procrastination shows up just fear when it's fear-based. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I am gonna go to school, and I'm gonna, go back to school and get my degree. But hey man, it's just not a good time right now.
Yes.
There's COVID, or I'm getting married, or I have a kid. Wait till the kid gets older. Yeah, procrastination is just a way I think we think we're keeping ourselves safe by actually not taking those steps.
Right, right. Like there's
Yeah.
always something, right? A person could always find a reason, but if you believe in yourself, then you should be able to just go ahead and get started. And for me, that is the biggest problem with some of the things is that okay, it's one thing to know that I have an issue that I need to approve or that I need to improve on, but it's another thing to actually get started. How do you get started? Like I know that I need to improve at whatever it is. You pick whatever it is, whether it be being extroverted at the proper times or whatever, and that it's something that you need to improve on. So how do you go from that? So you got the initial awareness for deciding and realizing what you need to improve on. What's the very first thing that you need to do to get active about it so that it's not just a wish?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I love the simplicity. It is just getting started and doing it. you know,
Right?
um, yeah, it's just taking the first step, whatever it is. One of my favorite stories with this is I heard a guy tell a story once where he didn't even have his GED. He was in his, I forget how old he was, but he was out of high school, or he dropped out of high school, and he started to clean up his life and wanted to start, doing things better for himself. And he hired a coach, and he's like, and his coach said, well, what do you want to do? He goes, well, I always wanted to be an engineer. He goes, why don't you do that? He goes, I can't. I mean, he's like, I don't even have my GED. By the time I get my GED and go into college and to become an engineer, you know how old I'll be by the time I accomplish that. And he said, the coach said, well, do you know how old you'll be anyway? It's like, and
Yeah.
My wife's a good example of that. She's a nurse practitioner today. When I met her, she was a realtor. So she had to first take classes just to get into nursing school and pass those. And she got in nursing school and she became a nurse. And then she went through the whole thing. And she had one of those moments where she's like, man, I'll be 37 by the time I become a nurse practitioner. It's like, when you're 28, I guess that seems like forever.
Yes.
That's really not. It's like,
Yeah,
you'll
not
be
at
37 anyway.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, you're going to be 37 regardless.
You're right.
So do you want to be 37 and at least have taken a shot at what you wanted to do, or to just say that you sat there looking at it all the time? And there's an old saying in the indigenous community is that you can't sit beside the trail too long, because if you do, the trail grows over. Right.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
you lose it. So that's an important message there, right there.
Yeah.
Is that it's sometimes if you identify those and you realize that it's something that you could do, it's you gotta get past those self-doubt issues, and you gotta just get started. If you don't mind, I'd like to transition into another that has to do with motivation.
Yeah.
So thinking back, like, and that would be similar with you as well, or for anybody that has lofty goals. But thinking about that, there's a lot of people that doubted me. Of course they would, right? They would think, who are you? You're just an indigenous kid from Regina. You're 165 pounds. Do you think you're going to ever make it into the WWE ring? And, at that time, if I would have listened to people, I was, you're right. Screw it. I'll just stay home and do whatever everyone else is doing. But I didn't. I was able to go ahead and say, screw it. I'm going to do it. So here's the thing. Is it okay to use that negative energy, so the doubt? Is it okay to use that as motivation, as in, I'll show them. They won't doubt me. In the future, I'll show them that I have what it takes. Is it okay to be motivated by that? Or is it more important to be motivated by self? Like, I'm not doing this to prove people wrong. I'm doing this because I want to accomplish it. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think they're both good. I'd like to point out, both of us pursuing pro wrestling and doing everything we got to do in that, and you continue to do. You're still showing up for things, and that takes a ton of not caring what people think and just going forward and putting the work and the time and the effort in. And so and to answer the question, I think you can use both. Use that motivation of I'll show them. It could be a very healthy one, but I think at the same time it needs to only go so far, I think, because use that as motivation. And when you do achieve your goal and you get there, I think having the humility is helpful too. And then if not, it becomes a chip on our shoulder and how that can go.
Yes. No, absolutely. And I think a lot of us athletes have definitely dealt with that one, the old chip on the shoulder, which can be kind of one of our greatest gifts or our greatest barriers as well, right?
Yeah.
So, sometimes in life we have to make tough decisions. Do a lot of people suffer from fear of making the wrong decision?
Yeah, I think so. And that'll keep you. That can keep you stuck, right? Fear of making the wrong decision.
Yes.
And what I found is there is no wrong decisions, because everything is an experiment, and experiments always have results. So there's no wrong way to do it. And so, for example, it's like, man, I don't know which path to go. Well, if whatever one you choose is if it doesn't work out, you're going to get invaluable experience of what doesn't work, and you're going to learn so much from, we learn so much from our failures or things that don't work out. I think the only way you can go wrong is if you're just, on the wrong path of, effing up all the time. I mean, I've been down that too, right?
So have I.
Yeah.
Yes. No, we know. We know. And that's interesting. I'm glad that you brought that up, because I do want to address that real quick. And I don't want to always talk about just the negative or the, what's out there in the media. But just recently, I'm not sure if you saw, but Buff Bagwell was arrested again in Texas. And so he's been having some legal problems. And just from the picture that's out there, you could tell that he's been coming upon some hard times. So it just makes me concerned a little bit sometimes, because that's not an uncommon story, right? Is kind of that inability to transition into that next part of life, which would be pro wrestling. What do you think is kind of the main issue? Why do people have issues transitioning into their post wrestling lives?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's my guess would be, it's just an unwillingness to accept life on life's terms.
Right.
I know there should be some ego stuff in there. I got to experience that, on both ends. When I got fired in 2006 from WWE, there was, it was 2.5 years before I went back there. And there were moments where I thought, man, am I going to be like that guy that, am I going to, that never true Hollywood story? Like, oh, he had all this great potential and just, he messed it all up. And I just wasn't ready to be done with it. So that's why I feel so fortunate and blessed that I got to go back, and then when I left 2 years later after that, being able to transition out, and I'm sure you can probably relate to a lot of this too. Part of it was so it's interesting. I recently spoke to a former NFL player about this, and I got some real good clarity on how we transition out. And here's what I came up with. I think this is what I experienced. I just didn't have the words for it. So, that's part of who we are, man. We identify, especially when we're in it. We identify as pro wrestlers. We have we have our own lingo. There's such a bond, right? Like, it's fun, man. All these years later, you and I will pick up Facebook Messenger and like tell a story about something that happened, and it's
cut promos.
Funny. Yeah, right. Yeah, cut like promos and just pop each other. And so there is that part of it. So for me, it's a recognition of like, that's still part of who I am. Okay, even though actively it's over, maybe I'm not actively wrestling anymore. It's still part of who I am. But there is more to life than that, which is a good thing. Wrestling's still part of who you are. I think having gratitude for what you got to do helps. And I think it's finding something, new that you're passionate about, and where you feel useful and needed and
productive.
Engaged. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah.
Engaged in what you're doing, right? Like you're interested in what you're doing. You're not just counting beans, right? You're engaged in what you're doing.
Yeah, that definitely helps, because I know, for me, becoming a school teacher, that was a whole new thing in itself. And, I had to like show up and learn this shit. Like I was scared. I was scared. I don't know what I'm doing, but it really gave me something new to go after and strive for. And
yeah, for sure. So you talk a little bit about that ability of you have to be able to respond and to be able to adapt and be reactive, right? However, what do you think? Is it more important to have structure and routine, like to be proactive, or to be able to adapt, to be reactive?
Well, that's a great question. These are great questions. I think it's both. Structure and routine is, I feel, important. I have a routine every day. I wake up, drink my coffee, I pray, meditate, get ready for the day. Nothing serious, nothing major, just get my mind right, do some readings. And even when I was teaching, I made time to do that. So if I had to be out the door by 6:40, I just always made sure I gave myself enough time to do that before I went out the door. Stuff like that. And then working out's a routine, and everything that we do. But then I think there are times where it's necessary to adjust. And be able to, react to that and adjust accordingly. Whatever the situation.
Right. Yeah, I think you have to be balanced as well. I think it's really important to have a good plan mapped out so that you know exactly where you are. And for me, it makes me feel like I like to know where I am, right? But it's also very important to like not have to just follow that plan right to the T if things aren't working, right? If you feel that things need to be adjusted, then I think it's important to be able to just go ahead and make those adjustments. But there's a lot of people out there, whether it's the industry that they're in or just their personality, that they have a really hard time of deviating from that structure. But I can understand that, because comfort comes from structure, right? Like that's where we get all our familiarity. And anytime we get something that we're unfamiliar with, we get that discomfort, right?
Sure.
So everybody has strengths and weaknesses. What is one of your weaknesses, and how are you addressing the issue?
That's a good question. Let's see. One of my weaknesses. Let me think on this for a minute.
We all have things, right, that are we're naturally strong at, but I also find that we all have these things that, like, there's always that, like the cartoon of the piece of cheese in front of you that you, right? Like we all kind of have something that will distract. Shiny things, right?
I would say one of mine is kind of speaking to that. I can get off track in my head, start overthinking something, and like, wait a minute, what do they mean by that? hold on a second. Does that mean that, oh man, like if I let it, it's funny because as positive as I am, like, oh man, if you, I tell this story in coaching sometimes. When Trent Beretta and I, on my second time in WWE, when we were working with Goldust and Yoshi Tatsu, and it was our first time working together on a house show, and you know, we're gonna do this program together in ECW, so we're having our first match together, see if we gel good and all that. And afterwards, we had a good match. And after Goldust was like, "Oh," he's like, "Heck yeah, guys!" He goes, "We got something to work with." He was that was fun, and he high-fived me and he hugged Trent, and I was like, "Hey man, why didn't I get a hug?" You know?
Yeah. Well, you think high five is like up here, right?
Yeah.
Like, or if you can just imagine physically, like optically, how it would look. Like you get the big hug right there, and it's like, "Hey, right on, bro."
That's exactly what it was. And like,
yeah. So did that kind of burn in your brain a little bit? Like, did it start to kind of, whoa, what's going on here? Is it me or?
Oh yeah, it's a great example because I was thinking, shoot, man, I was like, you know, did I do something wrong in the match? Because you know, I'm new up there, and I want to Goldust, I want to impress Goldust, and like, and it wasn't until we're in the car, me and Trent later that night, and I actually said, I was like, you know, I don't think Goldust likes me, and Trent goes, why do you think that? And I told him, you know, what I just told you, and Trent thought about it for a second. He goes, dude, that's crazy, and like. The sincerity in his voice, I was like,
right.
Yeah, you're
like
right.
He could not understand how you would even got to that point, right?
Yeah.
So somewhere up there was a misstep, right?
Yeah. And I think it's a great example of like other things in life that show up. And like, you know, if you sit in that by yourself, oh man, I'm quitting WWE. Goldust don't like me. Nobody likes me.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy thinking, but like left unchecked, you know, I think we can really, especially if something's important to us, you know, like I wanted to make a good showing then, and those negative thoughts can really creep in. So what I do to get out of that, it's like, I think that's a good example. I can recognize like, hey, that's crazy, but just to be sure. So I'll either like run it by like a coach or a trusted friend, or I'll write it down sometimes.
Yes. Yeah. Write it down and then read it to yourself, right? Because how does this look when you read it?
Yeah, because then it's like out of your head, and seeing it in print, it's like,
oh,
hold up, dog. That's kind of not true.
Yeah, right. And then and it's so funny how it can be affected by a lot of things. Like what happened to you earlier that day that can affect your mood. It can be affected if you had too many cups of coffee.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Or you pre-workout, you take an extra scoop of pre-workout, and you check your emails before you go, and then all of a sudden you read an email and you're, whoa. What does that mean? Right?
Right. It's funny you mentioned that about coffee because I've been lowering my coffee. You and I both love our coffee. And
I love it.
So you know, trying to have my wife Rachel and I are trying to have a kid, so apparently caffeine.
Ooh.
If you take that out. Yeah. So you know, I've gone from like drinking it all day to like a cup and a half in the morning. You know, good size cup. But that's it. So anyway, I drank more this morning than I normally did for whatever reason.
Yeah,
I like made
love
too
doing
much.
that.
Oh man, and like I haven't had that caffeine buzz, and it's been a few months. And dude, I was like, man, I can't sit. I try to write an email, and I'm like, oh, okay. And that, to your point, I'm like, oh, I think I drank too much coffee.
Right.
Which hasn't affected me in a long time. So
but it can really affect you because it can affect sometimes it make you feel happy, right? Like almost that euphoric. If you're real tired, you'd have those times where you're like so super tired, and then the coffee kicks in, and then all of a sudden, you feel great. Yeah. Right. Yeah, but then also too, if you have too much coffee, maybe gets you a little bit nervous. Maybe if you have some anxiety or anything, tendencies that way, coffee certainly doesn't help that at all, does it? A pre-workout.
Right. I read something too where too much caffeine, and they explained it why, but it can make you irritable. There's definitely pre-workouts I take. If I take them two days in a row, I get irritable as heck. It's from caffeine, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, so just to rewind you for one bit there. So you're talking about you're looking to try and have a child. That's awesome. Are you guys married yet?
Yeah.
Okay, how long have you guys?
October 2015. it's been 5 years.
Yeah, so you guys, but you've been married for quite a while now.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you're looking at that next step, and how old are you now?
41.
Right. Okay, so that is like it is huge from everybody that I know. As soon as you like, it changes your life huge. I do actually. I remember even driving home from the hospital with Cage, my son Cage. When he was big.
Yeah, I remember when he was born.
Yeah. He literally remembered when he was born. Yeah, and for the viewers that don't know, Pavone used to be known as Chris Cage. My buddy Chris used to be known as Chris Cage, and he used to always say, "What up, Cage? What up, Cage?" So when my mom, when my son's mother asked what I thought of the name, I thought, "Hey man, let's go with that."
yeah, that's good. Cage with an I, right?
Yeah, Caige. And I tell you, even driving home from the hospital that day, it was just like, hey, back off, man, back off. Sir, why are you going so fast? You know,
I can totally see that. Yep.
Yeah. It was huge like that. And I remember we took him to my parents' house, and my dad was taking a while to unlock the door, and it was cold out, right? And I started crying. I was like, "Come on, hurry up, Dad. We've got a baby here." You know? And I was like, it was the weirdest thing. Like, it totally changed, like overnight, man. So anyways, that's good to hear that things are going that one. I wish you guys good luck.
Yeah, thanks, man. I can feel it coming. It's coming. You know what I mean? I don't know if you had experience. I just feel it's coming.
Yeah, when you feel an energy shift, there's an energy that the universe carries, right? And if you feel that shift, it's like something is going on, right? Like you don't know exactly what it is, but you're preparing.
Yeah, because Rachel sometimes gets upset. We've been trying for about a year, but it's I believe it's gonna be it'll be at the right time, and we've both been checked out. Things are good, so like I tell her, I'm like, just remember this, because we're not gonna have all this free time,
right?
You know, so.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Especially right off the bat with the sleep habits. But I don't want to get too far into that right now. I'm just really happy for you guys that you guys are there. So what are your natural strengths, or what comes easy to you?
Yeah. And this is, I've learned this from like me having a coach and you know, self-reflection and stuff, because we tend to downplay our strengths sometimes, right? You ever notice people do that? And so bless you. We got the little guy. This is our little guy, right? Or so far, he's taking a nap. It's Hugo. Yeah, it's a mini poodle. I'm very consistent. I'm disciplined. If I want to accomplish something, I will do it. You know, I don't quit easily. And then I've also been told, and this is good as a coach, I suppose. I relax people well. I come off very non-threatening.
Style.
Yeah, I think that's a strength. I communicate well.
Right. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, you've always been good at that. That's always been your natural strength. Even when you just meet someone for the first time, you are able to have that, just a genuine, "Hey, how are you doing?" And that counts for a lot, right? That counts for a lot, because some people don't have that. Yeah. So people in general, they don't like confrontation, right? Because confrontation kind of makes them feel centered out, or makes them feel uncomfortable. So sometimes it's necessary to be confrontational, though. Is there a good way to do it, or how do you do it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's, in my opinion, I guess it's circumstantial. So, you know, there's a time to be confrontational. If you're in a leadership position, for example, right? I'm sure you've had to deal with stuff like that. Yep. And I think there's definitely a way to do it. So, again, depending on the situation. For example, when I was a teacher, my afternoon duty was parent walk-up. You know, kids, you probably know this as a parent, kids exit, I think, only 3 ways. They either take the bus, the car rider line, or parent walk-up is where the parents wait in line and they walk up one by one and they walk home with their kids. Or they walk them to the parking lot, whatever. And so at all schools, is my guess, you need a badge with your kid's name on it. It's a security issue. So no stranger can come pick up your kid, right?
Right.
And so there was times where it was my responsibility to not let not release a kid unless the parent. And there were times where even if you knew the parent, you had to just say, I'm sorry, but I can't. You have to go to the office to get a pass. And I think that's a small thing, but I've seen people be like, "Hey, sorry," like, no, we need the pass.
Yeah.
That's going to
Yeah,
create conflict, as opposed
totally.
to saying, look, I'm sorry, it's just, it's for your child's safety, but you got to have the pass. Just the office is right there. If you can just go get there and get a pass,
Yes,
like,
yes. As opposed to focusing on the fact that I have control over you.
yeah, that's it.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, and then there's times where it's like I just leave stuff alone. Like if you're at a dinner party and someone's being a jerk, I just
Yeah.
let them talk. Who cares? I don't need to be the guy confronting them or call. You're someone making up lies and you can like call them out on it, but it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Just in your head, you're like, nah. Right?
right,
You're like,
yeah,
false. False.
right. Yeah, that didn't happen. That's not how it went.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, totally, man. That happens all the time. But you're right though. It takes a while. Like when you're younger or whatever. Like I remember when like I would no, that's not right. Like I'd have to step in. Whereas now it's like I can
right.
just like, yeah, I can just shut up.
Yeah,
Nobody
yeah,
needs to know what I think.
right, right. Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, man. What do you think is the most crucial aspect of making your dreams and goals a reality?
Yeah. I would say, man, it's got to be action. Taking the
Action.
action. Yeah.
Right, right. So all the
It's like
thinking and all that stuff is
I love it too,
nice.
man. Yeah, yep. I think it's all necessary. You got to have the dream first, but then it's action. It's like I love these analogies because they sound so cliche, but they're true.
Yeah.
It's like if you just read a recipe, it's going to give you some good information, but you're not going to get fed. You got to
Right.
make the food and eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
no,
the
that
same
that
with
that may,
goals.
that's a really good analogy, man. That's a perfect analogy. Yeah, the recipe looks great there, and
Right?
there's a lot of
I was reading,
good information, but I'm still hungry.
right.
Totally.
In the equivalent, I think a lot of people would be like, I better not do it. I'll look stupid. What if I make it and I mess it up? Or I don't want to do that anyway. It's all politics. I
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
make
yeah,
this food.
yeah,
It's all political or whatever.
yeah. All politics. Yeah. So I've been over the years kind of been paying attention to you as well as looking at some of the stuff on your website. I've got a few questions that I'd like to throw at you in the
Yeah.
true or false format.
Yeah, cool.
So, yeah, so not everything is meant to be forever. However, it may be meant to be for the short term. True or false?
Oh, yeah, I think 100% true.
100% true. And I remember that specifically. I specifically remember me and you were driving around in Louisville, and for whatever reason, I just said, it's not meant to be. And then you're like, well, maybe it's meant to be for today, and or not tomorrow. And you made me open my mind to that. It's like, okay, well, just because it's not meant to be doesn't mean that it's still not going to be for a short term or
Yeah.
whatever, right? Like everything used to be just so like that.
Oh,
So that
oh,
was
is
a
that
good that
right?
one.
Interesting. Cool.
Yeah, totally. I always remembered that one.
That's
So
fun.
you either win or learn. There is no lose. True or false?
Yeah. Man, that's true.
It is true, but we can't take away the edge off the because sometimes you do lose, right?
Yeah, and you could break it down in I guess it's semantics, but right. There's times I guess it depends on what we're talking about. There's definitely times you can lose. But even then you can learn from it. Or you will learn
Right.
from it if you choose to.
Yeah, it's up to you, right? You could just sit there and
Yeah.
kick the wall and be and be mad, or you can. Well, I think it's natural. Everybody, right? The ego makes you want to
Yeah.
punch the wall or kick the wall, but eventually you have to think about it and see
Yeah.
what you need to do to improve.
Yeah.
So how about this one? This one's a pretty good one, and especially for people that have been involved in the wrestling business, I find that the answer is going to be different than the average civilian. In
Yeah.
order to be successful in the world, you need to be selfish. True or false?
Yeah, I'd say false.
False, right? Right.
Yeah.
But so that's the thing. I can't get it out to anybody. I can't get it. No, nobody's been saying, yeah. Yeah, you kind of have to be selfish. But you know, I do just right now, I remembered Rob Conway. Rob Conway said sometimes you have to be an asshole.
Yeah.
Right? Do you remember that?
Yeah. And Shawn Michaels told me something similar once. This was really cool because I'm sure I told you this story. It was in my hometown, first of all, the Beagley Center. The sorry, I'm gonna shut this really quick.
Yeah, go for it, man. All good. Yeah, no worries at all.
Yeah. And so the Beagley Center, Youngstown, Ohio, it's the shows I grew up going to. It was the my college, actually, right by my house. It was their basketball arena, and they quit. WWE quit running shows there like not long after I wrestled there. So anyway, I got to work that, which was pretty cool. And and then it made it even neater because it was in the bathroom. I was talking to Sean, and he was putting me over because remember Lance Cade?
Yep.
Yeah, he trained Lance, and I was buddies with Lance, and I knew him from OVW, and he told me, he goes, man, he goes, Sean was watching your match last night, and he was putting you over. He's like, you should talk to him, and I was like, we can like talk to these guys, and Lance is like, that's what him and Hunter are there for. Flair, like he talk to them and ask them questions. So anyway, I talked to Sean in the locker room, and he basically said he goes, you're really good, which was such a cool compliment.
Yeah.
And he said, but you got to be careful because sometimes you can be put in positions to only make others look good. So he said, he used the phrase, don't be afraid to step on some toes. And so
that makes sense.
Yeah. So again, that's a fun true or false question, because it's kind of like ultimately being selfish, I think will screw us in the end, right?
Yeah.
Overall, but there could be times where it could be perceived as being selfish, but ultimately you're taking care of you so you can be your best, which,
right.
Maybe you're going to make more money to provide for your family better. Or
do you remember Jeremy? Do you remember Jeremy from Dr. Tom there from OVW? Jeremy, Big Godzilla.
Big kid that used to chop people.
Yeah. He's NWA now. He's huge. Jeremy, I can't think of his last name for some reason. Anyways, he was Dr. Tom. He knew Dr. Tom, and we met him in Louisville, and he was he was like in the beginner class when we were there, and like now he's huge. Exactly, he's like an NWA try. He goes to Japan all the time, and
really,
Jeremy Lehman, I believe is his last name.
Yes, I remember. Jeremy Lehman.
But that's not what we called him. But that's not what we called him.
So he stayed in wrestling then. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he did. He's still wrestling, and he's doing really, like, he's huge. Like he looks incredible. Like he's been working his butt off. And anyways, that honestly back then, that was something that was my attitude when I went down to Louisville, was like, hey man, don't be afraid to get better than anybody. And so it's kind of the same, not quite the same as don't be afraid to step on any toes. It's just like, hey man, I'm just here to get better and to try and get myself a spot. So I'm not going to be afraid to get better than anybody, right? Because sometimes we hold ourselves back with our lack of confidence.
That's it. See, and yeah, and I wouldn't even call that being selfish. In a way, it's like I got to put me first so I can be my best version of me, right? Like,
yes.
So
yeah.
Whatever that looks like. And if you're then there's other things that come into play. I think there could be people pleasing. Hey, I better not look too good, I might make this guy look bad, or screw all that. It's like, and that's not a you can still be kind and loving and be that way. It's the same with making money. I feel like there's been a shift for me in that, like making money's bad. No, it's not. Right. A great tool, man.
Yes, totally. Yeah. No, that's a huge thing, and it's a big thing in the indigenous culture as well. There's a big thing here, like about being humble, and also like about the evil effects of capitalism, which are they're not wrong, right? There's a lot of negatives about capitalism and in the capitalist society and all that. Having said that, it doesn't mean that you should be scared to get money or to make money or to earn money, right? Because it's needed to buy stuff, to put food on your table, right? Not just to be this power thing in society or whatever, right?
Yeah, it's right, sure. And that's the whole lot, like, because on the other side, I've heard people say it's like before capitalism, where you had a a steel plunge take or barter.
Yeah. Well, that's what they would say, but also like you hear stories that it was actually more communal, right? In terms of the way everybody was kind of working together. It was a egalitarian society. See, I actually do have a university degree, and I use that word since university, so I can say that's an egalitarian society. Okay, here's a very, very important one. Change of pace. Prince Harry is taller than Prince William. True or false?
Oh shoot. Prince Harry. Man, I have no idea. I'm gonna say false.
Yeah, I don't know idea either. That was just in there, a random one, but you got the question right.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another one. M&M stands for Mars and Moordale. So the M&M candies.
Oh, that's a great one. Is that funny? Mars and Mordale?
Yes.
I think that's false.
False. You are correct. You're doing good. Here's a good one. The unicorn is the national animal of Scotland. True or false?
Man, that sounds so crazy. It's got. I want to say
right.
True.
Yeah, totally. When I read that one, I was like, "Oh yeah, this one's so out there. It's got to be true." Yeah, it's true, man.
It is true.
It's true.
Okay,
yeah, it's true.
Wow.
The unicorn is the national animal of Scotland.
Holy cow!
Yeah, they're okay. So how about this? There are two parts of the body that can't heal themselves. True or false?
I'm going to say that's true also.
False. Only the teeth.
Oh, that's right. That's good.
Yeah.
That's right. You got to get those
in
place.
Yeah. The Great Wall of China is longer than the distance between London and Beijing. True or false?
Between London and Beijing?
Yes.
Holy cow, that's got to be false, right?
It's true. It's true. Cow. Yeah, man.
I actually know geography, so that's far. Holy, London to Beijing.
London to Beijing is only 8,136 kilometers. The Great Wall of China is 21,197 kilometers.
Wow.
Okay, this one's really, really important. This one, this one is super, super important in the scheme of life. There are 219 episodes of Friends. True or false?
I'm gonna say that's true.
It's false. There's 236. Who would know that? Like that?
Yeah, because 219 sounds about right.
What a stupid question. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Ariana Grande is 25 or under?
I think that's false.
False. She's 28.
One of Rachel's friends. This is probably 5 or 6 years ago, and I'm 100% not trying to be funny. She mentioned, I heard her, she said something about Ariana Grande.
Grande.
Yeah, and I was like, is that a Starbucks drink?
Yeah, totally.
I was dead serious. And she started laughing. She's like, no. I was like, because the way she phrased it, she was like, she said something like, I got an Ariana Grande. But I guess she meant like her song or something.
Yeah. Oh, Grande. Yes, I said Ariana Grande. So that sure kind of tells my age there. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Madonna's real name is Madonna. True or false?
I think that's false.
No, it's true. Her real name is Madonna Louise Ciccone.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. Okay, so here we go. Madonna or Cher?
Oh, I like Madonna better.
J-Lo or Halle Berry?
J-Lo.
Star Trek or Star Wars?
Definitely Star Wars.
Star Wars? Okay. So I stole these two from the bodybuilding bro chat. Would you rather eat 100% vegan or 100% carnivore?
Carnivore.
Carnivore, yeah. So you're not allowed to have any. No. If you're big carnivore, yeah. So just meat, like no vegetables, no carbs, no potatoes, no nothing. Just meat.
Man,
so you pick carnivore.
Yeah.
Totally. Okay. So here's the tough one. This is a tough one.
Yeah.
Would you rather urinate sand or shit out a great big brick once a month? Every month for the rest of your life. You have to do one of them. You got to piss sand or shit out a great big brick.
Man, I'm gonna say shit out of a brick would be less worse. I'll just pick that one.
Less words, right? But, man, have you? I remember getting surgery. Any surgery sucks, right? Because they get you on that anesthetic,
Yeah.
and it's totally toxic for your body. Have you ever had that feeling where you could not urinate, like from the I had that when
No.
my appendix ruptured. And so I was in the hospital and I was all gimmicked up, right? And whatever, I could not pee for days, and it hurt so bad because my stomach was bloated, and I just, for some reason, I was like, I knew I had to pee. I just couldn't get it started, I was just
Yeah,
sitting
because
there.
the anesthesia blocks, because you get constipated too under anesthesia, I think.
Totally. And so the second time that I had because I've had 2 hernia surgeries now, and this last time I was constipated for like 5 days.
Oh yeah, that's rough.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, and imagine this though, like, so I'm constipated, and I ate pizza one night because I felt like eating, so I ate all this pizza because I was hungry, and then so now I'm trying to digest it, right, and my stomach is just bloated, and I was like, okay, I'm constipated, but then I start feeling nausea. So I started throwing up, man, when I had like a fresh surgery. So I'm like holding my abs, going, "Ah." Oh, it was the worst.
Oh
The
man.
worst, man.
But you got through it okay?
Yeah, like after about once, like it took about 6 days or whatever. But then once,
Yeah.
as soon as that happened,
There we
I was a
Yeah.
new man right after that.
Oh yeah. It was
Yeah.
good
If you
on
could
the
have any
block.
superpower, what would it be?
It's a good one. Superpower. So I'll preface this really quickly by saying, I think a lot of the superpowers we think would be cool would be horrible, like maybe reading people's minds or, so. But you're right. Stop, quiet. But
Right?
I would,
Totally.
yeah, I would say it would be cool to fly, but there would
Yeah.
probably be. Actually, I take that back. I'd say super strength.
Super strength.
Yeah, that's it. Because even flying, there's probably something that you get a bunch of bugs in your eyes, or it wouldn't be as
Cold.
cool as yeah,
Cold.
yeah. Like something would,
Chilly.
yeah,
Have you ever had the dream of flying?
yeah, once or twice, yeah.
Yeah, same here. Same here. Where were you? Do you recall where?
Um, no, I just remember doing it, and you're kind of thinking, oh, I didn't. Hey, this is working. Cool. I didn't know this was like a thing.
Right. I remember descending like in like not the Grand Canyon, but like a canyon of sorts.
Yeah.
I remember like descending, and I was just kind of scared because obviously, going into a canyon, and then all of a sudden, hey, I'm
Right.
flying.
I wonder what that means. Did you ever look up? Usually, dreams are, you can interpret them. Nothing.
Yeah.
Never gets too deep, but it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I think it just like has something to do with your subconscious, but I do think that there's an energy link. I do believe in I don't know, whatever you want to call it. I wouldn't say heaven and hell or whatever, but I do believe that there's some sort of an energy that an energy just kind of like doesn't really go away. So so it does kind of stick around. I think there's more to life than just the materials and what's physically here.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Okay, so we spoke a little bit about a lot of the opportunities that we've received because of our involvement in pro wrestling. Have you ever missed out on any opportunities because of pro wrestling?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't think so. And you mean like because maybe somebody was prejudiced against the fact that I was a wrestler, or that fact
Or whatever,
that
or the fact that all
because you're wrestling. Yeah, I don't think so, and I would say no because that's what I was wanting to do more than anything.
Yeah.
I missed some like weddings and stuff with like buddies because you just couldn't make it home, or
Yeah.
but nothing. No
Nothing too
kids.
serious.
Yeah, no missing births or anything like that.
Right. No, for me, I think it was just generally like it comes back to that being selfish thing a little bit. Is it like there's no one really to police yourself to make sure that you're eating properly and that you're training right. So that's totally all on you, and nobody else can make you do that, and that's 100% on yourself, right?
That's right. Yeah. Yep.
All right. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about if people wanted to learn more about your coaching and how they can connect with you if they wanted to actually hire you as a coach.
Yeah. Yeah. The best way to do it, if you go to my website, krispavone.com, it's Chris with a K. The best way would be um, the, um, the the best thing would be just to contact me. It's Chris@krispavone.com.
Yep.
Um,
We'll put that in the comments.
yeah. Yeah. And that's how I enroll clients. That's how people end up working with me. This is a whole other thing. I won't go into it, but as far as this, when I work with other coaches, I think a lot of times people try to strictly market coaching, and it's hard to do because a lot of people don't really understand what it is or what it would be like to coach with this individual. So anyway, if somebody wanted to learn more about it, what it's like to work with me, we would talk and do some actual coaching, at no charge.
Right.
Then you can get a good feel, and you've already started to kind of work on some stuff, and then people can decide, I want to move forward with this. So that's kind of how that works.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah.
We'll just take we've got one question here from Jesse Robson. So who is one guy in WWE you wrestled whose talent blew you away when you got in the ring with them?
Yeah, that's a good question. Man, I don't ever really remember thinking like, oh my gosh, this guy, because we got to work with so many like talented guys. You know who I would say? Not so much, I guess, being in the ring with, but also just watching is our friend Joey Mercury.
Yeah.
I was just even taking the friendship out of it. I just always thought, man, he's good. Like everything he does. Yeah. So I guess that would be my answer. You know who else? Johnny Fandango.
Oh, yeah? Seriously?
Yeah.
Never met him.
You never met him, right? Yeah. You guys would get along great. Johnny Curtis, he was in FCW, and then he debuted as Fandango, and he's just super smooth, just can do everything, really good, really safe. Stuff looks great. He looks great. Yeah.
Yep. Cool. We've got a question here from Ryan Mosley as well. If you could have been a part of any faction, what faction would it be?
Yeah. Hey, Ryan. Hey, Ryan. That's a great question. Okay. Well, shoot. We might as well. I'll give two answers. I'll give two answers. One is actually could have been realistic. The other one is just pure fantasy. So So the Nexus guys, they came up right after Trent and I in that era in FCW, and like there's a chance I could have been a Nexus, or whatever. I'd never, no regrets or anything. It's just the way that worked. I remember telling them, I'm like, guys, this looks like so much fun, and they're like, dude, it is. They had a heck of a run there for a few months, and
totally.
Yeah,
when they tore up the ring, and they fired. They did the thing with Daniel Bryan when he choked the person with a necktie or whatever.
So they quick story about that. They kayfabed everybody on that because we were there backstage, and I was friends with all those guys, and so if you remember, they were getting eliminated week after week, and throughout this TV taping, I think we were in Miami. They're all together, like at the end of the Raw. Backstage, all of them together again in full gimmick. And I asked Reeves, I said, what are you guys doing? And their answer they were told to say was, we're taking a promo pic. I was like, oh, okay. And then I see John Cena, they're off by themselves, and I see Cena go up to them, and like I can see he's like pumping them up. Like I could, just knowing Cena, then I could tell he was telling them like, let's go. Like we're doing this. I was like, So then anyway, I was in the trainer's room with John Morrison. I went to the trainer's room and I was watching the show there, and you could hear the counts, the ref, and they said, I think the match was Punk and Cena, I think. And I hear Kevin Dunn say 15 more minutes. I'm like, 15 more minutes? So they go off there. I'm like, what the heck are they going to do for another 15 minutes? And then anyway, Wade Barrett comes walking, and I was like, oh, cool. They're going to involve Wade, in the main event. And then they all came in, and we were like, what? They tore the ring up. So anyway, sorry, get off topic. So that, and then, man, I have to say the NWO. I mean, pure fantasy. Like,
Yeah.
most over group ever.
Yeah, for sure, man. I would definitely say in real life, for me, the Karachi Vice. I'm from Stampede Wrestling territory over here, and they were huge in Calgary Stampede. And Teddy Hart and some of the Harts, they did a huge show in the old pavilion where they used to do the Stampede tapings. And
Yeah.
and I got inducted into the Karachi Vice by the great Gamma Singh. And I actually wore the headdress to the ring, and then the Gamma we took that off, and the great Gamma gifted me with a turban and a wife,
cool.
and brought me into the faction. So honestly, that is probably the favorite thing out of my whole career to tell people is that I'm part of the Karachi Vice. So in real life, that's a big one. Fantasy would be probably the Hart Foundation. Have to say the Hart Foundation, especially everybody remembers that match when they were in your house in Calgary, when they were against like Steve Austin and the Road Warriors and them, and they were supposed to be the heels, like everybody was supposed to be booing them, but of course they were in Calgary,
so over.
So they got over so huge, yeah. So I grew up in the Stampede territory, so for me, I would definitely have to say the Hart Foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Very cool.
So, what do you got happening in the next little while? Where can we see Kris Pavone within the next month or two?
Yeah. So my podcast, the Kris Pavone Show, it's I don't put any more new episodes out really, but I still, they're still available on your favorite podcast app, and in the content, it's evergreen content. So, yeah, you could listen to an episode probably from 3 years ago, and it would it would be relevant because it's just about positivity, motivation, going after your dreams and goals. Yeah, that, and then yeah, I guess I won't really be doing too much in the public eye. Just will be coaching people and yeah, working on that, and yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, it's nice to connect with you again, and I'm hoping that we can have you come on here regularly to kind of give your opinions on some of the things that are happening. I think it's really, really interesting what you're doing with professional coaching. I have a personal interest in it, and like I mentioned, I have been following what you've been doing. So we will be in touch in the very near future, and we look forward to having you on the show again.
Yeah, and, that'd be a lot of fun, man. I'm down.
Yeah. Awesome, man. And also for all the viewers, just want to thank all the viewers of the Wavell Stars Show for being with us this time. We will see you again the next time. However, in the meantime and in between time, that's it. Another edition of the Wavell Stars Show. We will see you again. Bye-bye now.